Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Mansfield Matters podcast. As you're watching this at the best time of the week, if you're watching it as it goes out, it will be 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. And what are you doing? Yeah, counting the days until the new League One season kicks off. The League One lineup is indeed complete, as Stockport County failed to get promotion at Wembley, meaning Bolton head up to the Championship. Well, that's a game where we're not going to have 20% possession and nick it 1-0 next year, isn't it? Always a shame. But on the flip side of things, yes, they finally did it. Notts County have joined us in League One for a derby day again next season. More on that, I'm sure, as we get into things later on in a few weeks' time as we head nearer to pre-season. But today is not about the future, and it's not even about the present. It's about celebrating our past. And as you've guessed from the episode title, we have got one hell of a player joining us to tell his Stags story. Before we get into that, though, let's say hello and welcome to my two fellow podcasters who are joining me to reminisce over all things Stag stories. First and foremost, let's head over to Stockport, where I think she's managed to swim away from not just the sweat of the heat, but also the tears of the Stockport faithful. Hello, Emily.
Yeah, managed to avoid all Stockport County supporters the last couple of days, thankfully.
Just how disappointed are you that Stockport didn't get promoted, because it means that you've not got a game on your doorstep?
Not at all. Yeah, really happy. Still got my local derby where we tend to pick up 3 points, so very happy with that.
Well,
I know it's not local derby for anyone else.
Well, it's not, but one man who will be delighted with it, because he gets to go on their podcast again, is Mr. Clive Parkin. Hello, Clive.
Hi, Craig. Hello, everybody.
How are you feeling about Stockport staying in the league and Notts County coming up?
I think it all worked out well. I mean, Notts County thoroughly deserved their win at Wembley because the other team didn't show up. And Stockport, I thought, was stretched to the point where they weren't quite good enough on the day. And I think Bolton, by and large, deserved their promotion. So I think it's all worked out well. And yes, I do like Stockport in our league.
Oh, there you go. A nice, simple, succinct answer from Clive. That never usually happens. You can tell we've got a guest waiting in the wings to talk all about their Stag story. We can't just launch into it, though, because we have to give them a proper introduction. This is not about the future. This is not about the present. It's about celebrating our past and telling another Stag stories. And my word, have we got a great guest coming up today. This is Stag Stories, a show where we take a trip down memory lane, catching up with players and managers of old to get their take on their time with the Stags. There'll be no stone left unturned as we delve into the highs and lows of being a Stag, and in the hot seat this time, a man at the heart of our defence for 5 very different seasons, serving 5 different managers along the way. His calm yet no-nonsense approach at the back quickly led to him being named club captain, twice coming close to leading us to promotion, and on a personal note, bolstering his own trophy cabinet season after season. With well over 200 appearances, 16 goals and a handful of red cards, this man has plenty of stories to tell. This is Stag Stories with the Chief, Krystian Pearce. Yes, we are joined by the fantastic Krystian Pearce, who joins us on the podcast now, aka the Chief. Chief, you were listening away to that intro. I saw a little wry smile when I mentioned the few red cards, but we'll come on to that later. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me on. A great intro. Thank you. Appreciate it.
An absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for agreeing to come on. Now, we've wanted to get you on for quite a while, and I think our taste buds were fueled once again a few weeks ago, because the final game of the season, you came and watched us at home to Cardiff, didn't you?
Yeah. A great game to come and watch as well, to be fair.
And I don't know.
And 3 points.
Absolutely, and I don't know if you remember during the game, a shirt enthusiast grabbed hold of you in the quarry lane and had a nice photo with you, Nick, who's not on the podcast tonight, but
yeah, I had a few pictures. I was surprised how much I was recognised, to be fair, but it's good to see that I'm still highly regarded there. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, very much so, still highly regarded indeed. Clive, I'm going to come to you because before we sort of hit record and started chatting, I was introducing everyone as I usually do, and I said, Clive might remember you or he might not, because sometimes he doesn't know what day it is, and other days he only remembers players from 1957, the year when he was 10 years old. The Chief, what do you remember about the Chief?
Well, it's like this, George. I think the player himself made an impression while he was at Mansfield Town, and I think, like many of my fellow Stags fans, we were slightly concerned and surprised when Coughlan showed him the door. I seem to remember him saying something along the lines that he needed to ruffle a few feathers in the changing room when he arrived, and that was his way of dealing with it, was to out the skipper. I thought it was a bum decision on the day, and I still think it is on reflection. And what's happened to Coughlan since? But yeah, I do remember him, and it's my second stab at being a Stags fan, because I go back to when I was a teenager, and then the life gets in the way, and you have families and stuff, and you become less of a dedicated Stags fan. And when I came back again in the latest period, Krystian was at the helm, and so it's very much part of the formative part of the second phase from my point of view. Anybody that went in the 90s and zeros and thinks you can forget them, because I don't know any of them. And by the way, Krystian, every week they ask questions about who played in these matches, and they're all in that period of time when I remember nothing, and they do it deliberately. Anyway, move on.
Slanderous, Clive. I don't know what you're talking about. Emily, what about you? Since every time we sort of sign a new defender, and we always sort of sit down and talk about their attributes, we're saying, what do we need? We need another Chief.
Indeed, yeah, we do say that a lot, and I think as well that your period at Mansfield Town was when I was in my hiatus from football, really. So what Clive was just talking about, I was in between, sort of really following the Stags. So, because I was having nippers at that time, so I had my two little boys then, who now come to the games with me. So it's great. But I was a young mum back then. But I remember that you were there during quite a few periods of turmoil. I think is probably lots of changes of manager and quite a few things going on. So yeah. I definitely wasn't ignoring Mansfield.
I think it was 5 managers in the end. We'll come through and we'll go through all of them later on. But let's go back to the very start then, Chief, because I think I'm right in saying that actually your introduction to Mansfield Town came through another former Stags defender, a man who's got a humongous long throw and beautiful dreadlocks, a.k.a. Exeter Skehegan.
Yeah, me and Ex go way back. Obviously, we're both quite local to each other. I think he only lives like 10 minutes around the corner from me now. Yeah, obviously we was at Peterborough together. He actually come in and replaced me. So yeah, I think he mentioned me to Mickey Moore, who obviously was the assistant at the time. Mickey gave me a call, asked me to come in and train. So I came in. In fact, I was supposed to come in and train, but there was always that pre-season in Brooksby, I think it was. So he told me, don't worry about that. Just meet us on a Saturday, play in the game, and then we'll talk after the game. And then I played the first half. Was blowing. Did all right though. Did a bit of running after the game, and then they said, yeah, we want to come back in next week. And then I think we agreed a deal over the weekend.
Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember going to again. Similar to Emily, your first season for me was a hiatus. I ended up producing and wanted people to support that. I was actually back in the studio listening to it that first year. But I remember, I think it was Rainworth Miners Welfare, a friendly which had been arranged for ages, and we weren't quite sure what
that's the one
side we were going to put out. Yeah. It's played on a bit of a hill, the little bit of a dip as well at Rainworth. So no wonder you were blaming, because you were probably playing uphill the first half.
More than likely, yeah. Well, yeah, it was a good run out. To be fair, I enjoyed just playing again. Obviously,
How
this season I wasn't really playing, so yeah.
How did Big X sell Stags to you? Because he'd been with us during, our conference days under Paul Cox, and I think he'd come back for another spell as well. But we were very much a club in transition in that point. How did he sell it to you?
To be fair, he didn't really have to sell it. He kind of just said like, it's a good club. We have obviously he enjoyed his time there. He thinks I'll enjoy my time there. So go in, have a look, see what you think, and just go from there really. So it was a brief conversation. It wasn't really too much to it. And then yeah, once I was in the door, it kind of just felt natural, felt like home.
So I think it was Adam Murray, your first manager.
Yeah.
Who's just won promotion from Kidderminster, now just joined Barrow as well. What a character he was. What was he like as a manager? Because for us, he was more beloved as a player than a manager, sadly, although I would have him back in an absolute heartbeat.
Yeah, I think I caught him at the very early stages of his managerial career, so I think he was still learning on the job. So at times I was probably his test dummy. So he tried to play a few mind games at times and stuff like that. And he was always a very good coach and knew his stuff. So he knew the game inside out. Obviously studies the game. He's relentless in his work rate. He's up all hours of the night watching footage and different things. So yeah, he kind of just kicked on every season, and obviously went on to do what he's done, and obviously now he's getting promoted wherever he goes now. So yeah, he's doing well.
How aware were you of the situation of Adam Murray when you sort of came in? Because Paul Cox had been manager the previous season, got us promoted from the conference, and was well respected, but we weren't quite doing it in the league, and we were really in trouble of dropping back through the trapdoor once again. And Adam Murray was sort of player, captain, assistant manager. He'd been sent out on loan to Rainworth Miners Welfare, which was a very strange deal at one point. And then he was just sort of given the manager's job. How aware were you of that situation, or were you just sort of coming into it going, I don't really know the history, I'm just here to play for this guy?
Yeah, obviously I knew bits and bobs, but I didn't know the full history. Obviously I knew he was an ex-player. I knew he was the assistant before he took the job. Yeah, but that's as far as I knew really.
And the team at that time as well went through a lot of changes, and one of the players who sort of stands out for me was the experienced Brian Jensen. I always think when you're a defender, it's always good to have that experienced keeper behind you. What was he like to play with the Beast? Because he came with a fantastic record and fantastic career, and then all of a sudden he found himself at little old Mansfield.
Yeah, obviously Big Bry is a man mountain, and he's a presence, he's a character, like on the pitch and off the pitch. He's that big friendly giant that everyone loves. So, and obviously, like you said, he's got a wealth of experience. He's played at great levels. So, yeah, he was, and obviously had Scott Shearer behind him as well. He was both very good keepers. So, the competition was high all around. So, yeah, it was a good time to be at the Stags. You
played in front of quite a few goalkeepers. I don't have the list to hand. I'm sure as the show goes on, my memory will sort of kick back in. Who would you say is the one, if you looked at a team sheet and saw that person's name in it, where you go, right, I feel a little bit more comfortable now to play my game?
I don't think I can pick out one in particular, because I tended to have quite good relationship with majority, if not all, the keepers that I played with, which is quite rare. So I think maybe me and Connie had a little back and forth one time. I think made it onto Sky Sports Soccer AM one time. But apart from that, obviously me and Connie got on well. But all the keepers we was lucky to have some very good keepers, to be fair, in my time. So I can't really pick just one. It'd be unfair.
Yeah, there certainly was plenty. I'm going to stick with Brian Jensen for just a second, Clive, and I'm going to put your memory to the test. Brian Jensen's debut, can you remember it?
No.
Let me unmute Emily, see if she remembers it. Can you remember it, Emily? No?
No.
Chief, can you remember?
My memory's not great either, I'll be honest.
That's 3 no's, move on.
3 no's. It was, I tell you, it was the local derby against Notts County, which of course is very apt because they got promoted yesterday. We won 2-0 at Meadow Lane, which was a great night. And but sort of he came in last minute, and I think it was a Friday night under the lights, actually, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think I remember the game, to be fair, but I didn't realise that was his debut. But yeah.
think he
Clean
became
sheet?
the oldest, clean sheet, and I think the oldest ever Stags player, the oldest ever debutant.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. What was he at the time? 41?
He was pushing, weren't he? He was up there. He was
Yeah.
definitely up there, bless him. And then, of course, later on in the same season, ended up beating Notts County at home 5-0 as well. Although I think you were on the sidelines for that one. I don't think you were playing in that one for some
Yeah,
reason.
I think that's, yeah, I don't know why, but I can't, I know I was.
You're probably
just
suspended,
watching.
Christian.
Possibly. Like the first season, I had a few, but yeah, so I probably was suspended, to be fair.
I was listening to you on another podcast, No Tackers podcast, talking about sort of your first season with us, and you were mentioning your red cards. Am I right in saying that prior to joining us, your disciplinary record was basically clean as a whistle?
Pretty much, yeah. I think I had more red cards in that first season than I had in the rest of my career up to that point. So yeah, obviously I think it was 4 that season I got, maybe 3 or 4. But
3.
Before that, I think it was 2, maybe 3.
Yeah,
So,
3 that it was 3 that season, which was just insane.
Yeah.
And one of them, I can't remember which game it was, but I think the referee was dishing out cards like nobody's business. I think he ended up sending off Nikki Hunt as well in the same game. Emily's nodding, which means that she can vaguely remember it, which is better than which is where she now has to talk. Do you remember it?
Well, I kind of got that as something a bit later, so yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm keeping.
That's all right. I've just spoiled one of the features later on the show. That's absolutely fine. Not a problem. That'd be funny. It's all good. I'm going to move away from that first season because, like I say, I can't really remember it much. Emily can't really remember it much, and it was one of those seasons which sort of petered out. I think we ended up finishing it in 12th. What were your overall takeaways from that first season? Were you happy with how you'd settled in, or did you think that there was more on the table from you?
Yeah, obviously, no. I knew personally that there was more to come. Obviously, the red cards didn't really help. Obviously, kind of broke up the momentum. I think I missed maybe 12 games through suspension that season, so that kind of messed up my flow a little bit. But I could see the potential in the club. I could see the potential in the squad, the players, and obviously, I was at an age where I felt like I can kick on again and help this team get promoted, which was the target.
And that was indeed the target. And the next season really is where things really started to change for Mansfield Town, although it didn't quite come off. I think I'm right in saying that first season was the only one, actually, which speaks volumes, where you didn't get a Player of the Season award from any of the fans groups or anything like that. It was the only one where you didn't get anything in your trophy cabinet. So you really grew after that. And maybe a big part of that was what was to come in the 2016-2017 season. Adam Murray started the campaign until November, and then it was the arrival of the Scotsman, Big Steve. What was your memories of that?
It was obviously a surprise at the time. No one saw it coming, but I got on well with Steve. Obviously, he kind of, I don't want to say he tried to ship me out, but he signed as many players as he could, including obviously a couple of centre backs. Obviously signed Xander Diamond as club captain as well. David Murphy come in as well. Obviously, I played with Murphy at Huddersfield years before. But yeah, I'm always someone that's always kind of relished the competition. So even though there was, I think, 4 or 5 centre backs at the time, I still backed myself to force my way into the team and then stay in the team once I'm there. So that was kind of a summer where I just got to work and started grafting in the summer and put in the extra work, and probably came back the fittest I've ever been. And yeah, I think
despite the fact that Evans was true to form and was buying players like he bought Sweeties at the time, the reality was, I think you made over 40 appearances that season. So all of the people he brought in to shake you up didn't do a very good job, did they?
Well, to be fair, I think Murph scored on his debut. Obviously, Xander was captain, so I think it was a cup game. We had maybe a week or 2 later, which I played in, and then I think I kind of stayed in the team from then. So yeah, it was high competition.
Would you be surprised to know that you made 48 appearances in total that season? Bearing in mind all those changes, all those players come in, 48 appearances.
That is a lot.
which is
I
actually
did play quite a bit, but I didn't realise it was that many.
it's your second highest compared to the highest was the playoff season with 50
Yeah.
with 54. So yeah, it's quite a lot. And what's that like as a defender when you sort of see a new manager coming in? You sort of got half an idea in your head that he's going to want his own people and things like that. And obviously Steve Evans comes with a bit of a reputation for that as well. What's going through your head when you're seeing these new players come through the door? Is it, I need to get on the phone to my agent and maybe look for a move away from here, or I'm going to bite my tongue and I'm going to make sure that the person that gets the shirt and the starting place is me and not you?
Yeah, like for me personally, I was always, like I said, I'm a competitor first, so my mentality has always been I want to be the best player on the pitch, no matter who's on the pitch with me. I want to be the best player on the pitch, because if I'm at my best, then that means you have to raise your game, and if we're always in our game to another level, then we're going to be successful. So that's why even in training, I'm trying to push the standards, whether it's a little warm-up drill or whatever it is, I want to win it. So yeah, and I was looking forward to obviously Steve Evans came with a big reputation, and obviously his track record of promotions and winning is second to none really. So I was excited, and then obviously, and like I said, I know Murph from my Huddersfield days, so I was looking forward to playing alongside him again. Last time I played alongside him, we got promoted at Scunthorpe. So yeah, so in fact, yeah, it was Scunthorpe, not Huddersfield, wasn't it? Yeah. So he signed from Huddersfield to Scunthorpe, and that's where I played with him. But I was at Huddersfield before, so memories coming back now. Like
There you go. It all kicks in. By the end of the show, you'll be messaging me at like 3:00 tomorrow morning, going, "I remember this. I remember this. I remember this." That's just what happens. It's brilliant. Obviously, Steve Evans did come with a bit of a reputation. What was he like on the training ground? And of course, his mate Dodgy, as we refer to him, Paul Rayner, his long-time assistant manager. Because you can search Steve Evans in Google, and you sit back and enjoy all the stories, because there's plenty. Surely there's one in the Chiefs' locker.
Yeah, he's obviously a man full of stories, and obviously he's a larger than life kind of presence, isn't he? So yeah, I think for me, like, he was kind of like one of the stories that used to stick in my mind was the one where we had like a kind of running joke, like how much he used to be onto CJ Hamilton. Like no matter what happened in the game, you would hear him shout, CJ. So I remember one game, I think I was on the bench for one game, and then I think the boys on the bench actually counted how long it would. We had like little running bets between us. How long is it going to take before he screams at CJ? And I think it was 42 seconds into the game. He hadn't even touched the ball yet, and he's already screaming at CJ. CJ, do this. And like from day one, he was on CJ's case. But to be fair to CJ, he kicked on and got better and better, and obviously went on to do what he's doing now, still playing full international for Ireland, playing in Championship. He's doing well for himself. So big up CJ. If he ever sees this, but I'll tell him to watch. But yeah, like I think for me, Steve Evans was just very much he wasn't really a coach in terms of tactically and do this and that. He was more of a motivator, and a kind of he'll do things to kind of get a reaction. So although CJ probably wouldn't have saw it at the time, I think he was trying to do that with Siege. So like even with me, he used to tell me like sometimes like he would have a go at me just to get a reaction from somebody else. So like I remember one game he was screaming at me. I looked over to the bench a bit confused, and he just gave me a little wink and smiled. So I was like, okay, I know what you're doing. So yeah, that was kind of the relationship we had. So yeah, like I said, I got on well with him.
Certainly a character. Were the characters around the training ground in terms of like banter and getting involved with the lads, or were they very much hands off? Because those two they're a little bit like the Chuckle Brothers at times. They've got all the antics on a match day, and sort of, they know how to rile a crowd, that's for sure. But were the different characters behind closed doors, or was it what you see is what you got?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of what you see is what you got. Obviously, I think there's a few bits that's more for cameras and for for show, like the interactions with the dugouts. He kind of does that on purpose sometimes to kind of rile up the game or whatever. But yeah, he's very much hands-on, in-your-face kind of character. He doesn't mind shouting and getting touch tight to him and all of that. So yeah, a few people have had to wipe their eyes of spit and all the rest of it at times. But yeah, he was a
few
good manager.
fourth officials as well, Krystian.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so yeah, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, and they are, they are characters, and there's a reason, isn't it, that they've been that successful? Because I think prior to coming to Mansfield, the only club at that point he'd not actually had success in terms of promotion with was Leeds United, and there's this stories going around about him leaving Leeds, and he's like, I don't really care. I've been paid £1 million.
Yeah, he definitely liked to talk about money. That was definitely high on his list. So he did like to spend his money as well and flaunt it. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So far, we've had Steve Evans and Adam Murray. We're going to come on to another one in just a minute, but let's just round off that season. So the 16-17 season, like we said earlier, Adam Murray until November, then Steve Evans rides into town, probably via Waitrose with Dodgy carrying his bags. And again, we finish in 12th place. Good run of form, I seem to remember, from January onwards, but we just sort of ran out of steam in the end in terms of trying to chase that playoff sort of space down. Did you sort of have that feeling within the dressing room that something was starting to bubble and you were going to transition away from this average mid-table side flirting with relegation to a playoff pushing side?
I think the mood in the camp, I think everybody was kind of locked in on the promotion. I don't think anyone's ever really looking at just surviving and just staying in the league. That was never the mentality of the group. Even in the first season I was there, that was never the mentality. The mentality was always, let's try and kick on and get promoted, get into the playoffs. So obviously it came more that season where it became more real, where like, no, it's a must now, we need to get into the playoffs. That was the mindset. So I think that's what he brought to the group, that winning mindset.
And of course, we did go on to do that. And this is where the trigger warning has to come in for Stags fans who are watching this, because they're bound to get all angry again, as I'm sure we are on this podcast panel as well. Because the 2017-18 season was one which I think we'll all remember for all of the wrong reasons in the end. Obviously, Steve Evans started the season in charge, like you said earlier, brought in a number of defenders and a number of players and really, splashed the cash and reshaped the squad. But to be fair, it worked. We went on a really good run. It got to February time and we'd lost just 2 games in 21. And then Steve Evans decided to go to Peterborough via China. We'll give our thoughts on it in just a second. But what can you remember of that? Because there's numerous stories sort of saying that, he's come into the dressing room. I think we drew with somebody at home. I think it might have been Colchester or someone like that at home. And the Coventry at home. I knew it began with the C. And various people sort of saying that the feeling in the dressing room felt a little bit different to what it had done in previous weeks. There were murmurings that he might be off. What was it like from your perspective as someone who was, at the heart of that dressing room?
Yeah, I can remember hearing the rumours in the week or so leading up to the game. Obviously, at the time, he lived in Peterborough, so it was on his doorstep. Obviously, there were the league above pushing to get to Championship again. Obviously, he's good friends with Barry Fry, so it was all kind of making sense. Like, okay, I see why it might happen, but he was saying it wasn't going to happen. So it's kind of like, is he just saying that just to kind of keep us focused for the game, or is he actually staying? So it was a bit of uncertainty, but I think obviously on the pitch we all kind of just tried to lock in and make sure that we get the result. And obviously, like I said, I think we were second at the time. Obviously, Coventry's a big club, big game. I think that it was. I think it ended up. I think they went down to 10 men if I remember correctly, and I think we was disappointed with the draw at the end. So that kind of shows where we was at the time. So it was kind of, yeah, just disappointing that he was thinking about leaving us with promotion undercards. That was more the issue.
I mean, it was literally there. I mean, like you said, at one point we were second in the league. I think after that game we were fifth. We're well within a sight of it. Only like a point or so off the top 3 at the time. What's that like as a player and as a group? Because you've got this fella who's come in, just over a year ago, who has implemented a different style of football. He's implemented a different culture. He's implemented all of this winning mentality, and he's got bums back on seats within the stands as well. The fans sense something's going to happen. So then to walk out like he did and do it in the way in which he did, what's that like to deal with as a player? I think we had 11 games to go at that point as well.
Yeah, I think I can only speak for myself, but at the time I was kind of thinking, okay, even though he's gone, our squad's good enough to just get it over the line, regardless. Like, we're playing well, we've got a good bunch of lads, we've got a good dressing room. So whoever comes in, it's as at minimum we should get into the playoffs and then fight through the playoffs and try and do that. We still had high hopes of, okay, let's try and finish in automatic spots, push for the league, and go from there. But obviously, that didn't happen.
It certainly didn't. We'll come on to that in just a second. Emily, it was an absolutely farcical situation, wasn't it, with what happened? He leaves us on the Saturday. He says, right, I'm off to China. Me and Dodgy, I got our passports. We're off to the airport. We're going to China. And then 2 days later, they end up in Peterborough. What can you remember about that? Because it left a bitter taste, and it still does, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. What I can remember about it was it being absolutely ridiculous. And then I've enjoyed singing songs to him every time he's come back to the one call. But most recently with Rotherham, I think. So, yeah, it was an absolute. And to be honest with you, I kind of, for me, it kind of not only did it leave a bad taste in my mouth, but it kind of made him farcical as well. I now see him as a bit of a bit of a clown, really. Like,
yeah, I think he thrives off being like the pantomime villain kind of character.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
his thing, yeah.
He's been true to form throughout his career. He's always put himself and his own best interest first, and I don't blame people for that. But his disingenuous was ridiculous. The way he left our club was awful. He could have been honest. The owners would have been, I think, sensitive to his requirements, but he lied. It left this China thing just left a sweet and sour taste. Pardon the pun.
And he did buy sweet and sour from Waitrose, apparently. I've got it from an unconfirmed source that was in Waitrose.
I don't think the owners would have held him back if he'd have said to them, in all honesty, I can't really afford to refuse this. Would you release me from my contract? What he tried to do was to connive his way from it. And it's not the first time. It hasn't been. He's done it several times since. He's currently a hero down in Bristol. It won't last forever because he burns his bridges wherever he goes, unfortunately. But that's fine. The game's full of characters, and I suppose the kindest thing I can say about Steve Evans, or two kind things. Firstly, he's a character, and secondly, he's lost a lot of weight.
He has.
He has, to be fair. He's a slender man compared to what he was. Chief, when you sort of look at that, though, and think about that, with 11 games to go, I don't think Peterborough at the time, and I might be wrong, I'm sure there'll be some Peterborough fans that get on us and go, no, we were this, we were that, and prove me wrong with stats, whatever. But for me, it felt like he could have seen out the rest of the season and said, look, John, Carolyn, I really want to go to Peterborough. It's on my doorstep. It's a job that I've wanted for a long, long time. I'm sure you understand and appreciate that. I have, however, come here to do a job, and I want to see it over the line. Will you let me go at the end of the season? I think that might have been a bit of a better way around it. I don't know, because in the end, it just all sort of burst in flames. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that would have definitely been the best way, in my opinion. Obviously, maybe that's me being selfish because I wanted to get promoted and obviously help the club get up the league. But yeah, I think, like I said, it left a sour taste in a few people's mouths, how he left and the way he did it. So, but obviously, I'm thankful for what he did bring to the club in terms of the winning mentality, the culture, the players that he brought in, because he did change a lot at the club behind the scenes as well as on the pitch. So I'm grateful for what he did do rather than being focused on the negative.
Yeah, as much as
it was good. Sorry, it was good for Steve Evans at the time in his career as well, because he came to a football club that had got owners who were prepared to support the club and didn't have a lot of football experience. So to a certain extent, he was able to be in charge. Whereas I would imagine Darren McDonough down in Peterborough wouldn't give him the same license. But yeah, I think it suited his personality to boss the thing around. And at that time, of course, we hadn't got the training ground and academy that we've now got. And so everything was taking place on the training ground next to the main stand there. And I know the catering manager quite well down there. And he said, we nearly went bankrupt when he worked here because whenever the training session was over, he used to go and eat everything that was in the kitchen.
Now, that's just reminded me of something talking about food in the training ground, because at the time, I used to work for football in the community. So obviously, like when we used to do PFA stuff, obviously you used to be involved in getting the players to come down and do the school visits and stuff. And I always remember every Friday morning, probably about 10 o'clock, 10:30, the fire alarm going off at the stadium because somebody had burnt the toast and tripped the fire alarm out. Who was the culprit in the squad that would burn the toast? Because there's a rumour going around, Chief. I'm not going to tell you who said it, but there's a rumour it was you.
But it definitely wasn't me. But it could have been a few people. Like, I can't think who, but yeah, I think it was a number of players. But I don't think I was one of them. At the time, I think I was trying to avoid the bread, so it wouldn't have been me.
But basically, who's not got the brains to work a toaster is what I'm getting at. Who in that squad did not have the brains to be let loose with a simple toaster?
There's definitely a few that lacked brains. I can tell you that one.
Because they don't have to do any toast. They don't have to do their own toast anymore, do they? Up at the new training ground, they have a chef up there full time, and they're not required to do their own toast.
To be fair, we had once
compared
Steve
to you,
Evans
lot
came,
is spoiled nowadays.
Yeah, Steve Evans kind of brought that in with the food and the chef and the fancy hotels when we have away games and all of that kind of stuff. That was all Steve Evans. So yeah.
What was that like as a
after that?
Is that what gives you that extra sort of 5% to go out? Because I'm looking at like some of the fixtures that we would have had, and I'm maybe like thinking ahead to next season. And if I was Nigel Clough, I'd be looking at that Plymouth away game. In fact, we played them on a Tuesday night last season. That's not one that you're really up for, is it? A long trip down to Plymouth Argyle. Is that what sort of gave you that extra 5-10%? The fact that you knew you weren't going to be stuck on a coach for X amount of hours, you were going to have the proper rest. You weren't having to like get your missus to make you a pasta or whatever to warm up on the microwave on the coach. Was it those little things which sort of started the turn?
Yeah, so obviously after leaving the Stags, I went into non-league and saw the difference of what it's like to. So obviously before that, I was kind of looked after well. Now, like as you said, Clive spoiled. We had everything given to you: your food, your hotels, your overnight stays. You're driven to whatever you need to do. Whereas in the non-leagues, you're doing everything yourself. So you might travel on the day to Timbuktu, and then have to get off the coach and play 90 minutes, and then get back on the coach and get back at 2 o'clock in the morning. But obviously, my time at the Stags, especially on the Steve Evans, we were staying at 5-star hotels every away trip. He made us travel in suits, and the suits weren't the best, but we had to go home games and away games in suits. Obviously we had our tracksuits to travel in, and then we'd wear our suits to the game. We would have obviously the best food at the hotels. I think the pre-season tour, we went to Malta and had another 5-star hotel and big fancy resort. Yeah, so it was like being a championship player basically. He had everything it basically was a championship club while he was there. In terms of budget, anyway, where you must be spending money, yeah.
I mean, the stands on that. I mean, the budget for his suit alone would have been quite expensive, wouldn't it? Is it tailored? Yeah, all right, okay, right. Bet someone else in, lads. We've got a big job on here. Obviously, that season was really good, and you mentioned, that you felt once he had left via the airport to China via Peterborough, that you felt as a squad that we were good enough to go and get promotion. What was it about that squad in particular that made you feel like that? Because we had some really good players. We had some really good phases of play. Danny Rose was basically popping up every week and scoring from every angle known to man. CJ Hamilton was tearing it apart. We had a good defence as well. What was it about us, do you think, that made you have that belief that once he had gone, we could still do it?
Yeah, because like you said, not only was it we had good players, but I think it was more just how close we were off the pitch as well, and that team unity, that team spirit that we had. It was more like a brotherhood than just teammates. Like everyone got on with everyone. Everyone knew everyone's misses, kids, everything. So not just on the training pitch, but once we left the training ground, we would still be together with each other in probably smaller groups. But when we all came together, it was one big team, it was one big family, and I think that showed on the pitch.
And obviously, then we do get the arrival of David Flitcroft. When you see his appointment, what are you thinking? Because as much as we sit here and sort of lament Steve Evans for upping and leaving, David Flitcroft did exactly the same to Swindon, to be fair. They were flying in League Two and we poached them. We poached him. Yeah,
so obviously when he first come in, obviously he came with a great CV, good pedigree. So I was thinking, okay, yeah, this is perfect. We'll easily go and finish in the playoffs or better and get automatic. So obviously when he came in, he kind of just didn't click straight away and kind of had to take time to implement his ideas. And obviously Danny Rose had already worked with him before, and they didn't really get onto their previous club. So that was kind of something that needed navigating at times. I think they tried to kind of bury it and the past is the past kind of thing, but you could kind of tell that it wasn't quite. I think it was more one of them where you just say it to say it rather than you actually believe. Yeah, we just bury the hatchet and carry on. So them two never really got on.
It's an interesting one, that, because obviously from the outside, Emily, looking in, you'd think that David Flitcroft and Danny Rose were like bosom buddies, like they'd be everywhere together, he'd be cuddling him and all of that sort of stuff. But I don't know, it's maybe that sort of explains why it didn't quite work at the start.
Yeah, it's never really took off at the beginning, did it? Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously it wasn't a case like wanted to force him out of the club or anything like that, or try to just treat him badly. But I'm guessing obviously at was it Bury that was that together? I think it was Bury. Yeah.
He started at Barnsley under him. I think he was interim, like caretaker manager. I think when Flitcroft gave him his debut at Barnsley, and then I think they ended up at Bury together. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he released him from Bury, but I think the problem was Flitcroft saw him as a different type of player than how Danny Rose saw himself.
Yeah.
So, because obviously he's not the biggest in terms of height, he's not really the typical target man, but he's very good at winning flick-ons and good in the air. So we used to hit Rosie on a diagonal. We used to just flick it on for someone to run in behind, and that was his game, as well as popping up with goals and getting in the box and good movement and all the rest of it. But obviously, because of his stature, Flitcroft wouldn't look at him as like my focal point. I can't hit Danny Rose. He's not strong enough. He's not a big powerhouse like a Craig Davis, who was his go-to guy at previous clubs. So obviously, it just it didn't start well. But I think as he kind of saw Rosie's game develop and what he actually is his strengths, that's when it started to click a little bit more. And okay, yeah, let's get the Rose going.
Danny Rose was a real asset at that time to our club, and he satisfies the saying that if you're good enough, you're big enough. And he certainly had a game that didn't require physical stature in the way that perhaps Flitcroft wanted, but he scored some really good goals. His work ethic was phenomenal. Yeah. And I also think about the FA Cup round at Shaw Lane in Barnsley. He scored a couple of corking goals there. One of them was a worldie. And I think
I scored in that game too.
You did?
You did?
I was going to come on to that. I've remembered that.
You just reminded me.
I remembered parking in the field outside the ground, and it was about a foot deep in mud. And the car next to me was the chairman's Rolls Royce. And
the car behind that was mine, which I never actually knew that, because I remember letting them out and I was like, I'm not going first because I'm in this really like crap 03 Fiat Punto I've had about 2 months. If I wheel spin this, his roller's getting covered.
But no, Danny was a great player for us, and I think a bit like you, I think he went too soon. But and he's had a career since. All right, he's coming to the end of it, and that's just going to happen to every player at some point. But I thought we wasted a bit of a talent pool at the time then, and I think clubs do it every season. I dare say, look back on some of Clough's and season's departures and say, well, that player should have stayed another year or whatever, but we don't have to make those decisions. The managers do. And at the end of the day, it's down to a personal opinion. But of course, it's also down to an insight that only the management team have. They see players on the training ground. They see them in the changing room. They know what they bring, apart from the obvious part of the game that we all watch. It's the other bits and pieces that only players and staff get to know about.
What did Flitcroft try and change early, Chief? Because we were playing a certain way under Big Steve. We had 11 games left to go. Really, nobody could have really messed that up. It was just a case of pick up and carry on. But ultimately, we did fall short. He only ended up winning two games in his last 11 or something like that. No wins in his first 8 games. 4 back-to-back losses before he got his first win. Just 2 wins at the end of that season. What went wrong?
I think kind of the confidence kind of drained out the group, and then it was hard to kind of get it back. So I think, like I mentioned, obviously the Rosa situation. There was just other little things happening behind the scenes that kind of just kind of took us off track. And then obviously once the results start going bad, it's hard to then get back on track, especially when you're flying high and then all of a sudden you're out the playoffs and then you're trying to chase back and then each game becomes more pressure. And
it all came to a head, didn't it? And a very disappointing one at Milton Keynes.
Yeah, that's next season. We'll come on to that. We will come on to that. We're going to skip ahead because I know Clive's memory. So he gets all muddled, bless him. It's so excited. You're just so excited, Clive, aren't you? You're remembering these things and they're coming out like verbal diarrhea. You're so excited, aren't you? Like a little puppy.
I'm like a little puppy, yeah.
It's like a little puppy. I want to talk though about the one win, his first win in charge, and that was of course against the enemy. I can't say the Chesterfield. Those Sir Mal Benning Day, as it's known amongst the terraces. What was that feeling like in the dressing room? Because we had 4 back-to-back defeats before that. Was it sheer relief? Was it the added thing of the Derby Day? What was the general feeling in the camp?
So obviously, Derby Day has always been quite favourable in my time at the Stag. So I always look forward to any Derby that we have, whether it's Nottingham way or the other way. We always tend to do well. So that was, like you said, the knighting of Sir Mal Benning. So obviously done the big knee slide after his goal and all of that. So it was a great occasion. Obviously, like I said, that kind of brought the brotherhood back, or the family was like, yeah, today we need to turn up, lads. And it was a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Be honest, would you have liked to have been the one that actually scored and then gone down in folklore forever? Because Sir Mal will never have to buy a pint in Mansfield ever again. Even like in 50, 60 years time, he'll be, remember that goal against Chesterfield? They'll always remember that. Would you have liked to have been the one that got it?
To be honest, I'm happy with my Mansfield legacy. So I'm happy for my car school brother as well. I'm gonna meet up with him a couple of days time. So I'll tell him to get on here as well. But yeah, Sir Mal is not only just a good player, he's a good friend, and I'm happy for him.
He absolutely is. We're going to talk more about the Chiefs' legacy in just a minute. We're going to take a short break, basically because we're recording this on the hottest day of the year. We're all sweating cobs, as you might be able to visibly see. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to refuel our drinks, and then we're going to talk more about Krystian Pearce's Stag's stories.
Protect what matters most with Actifire Limited. Your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifire Limited today or visit actifire.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifire Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
You're back with the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters, and Sarah from Actifire is going to be buzzing with that, because that's a free ad that she's had. Well, I might just add that on. I'll just add the fee on for next series. If you want to sponsor a podcast for next series, contact mcfcmatters@gmail.com. Great adverts like that made right here. Right, this is Stag Stories. So with Krystian Pearce, the Chief, we've had some fantastic memories so far. And before the break, where we all had to run off and towel off and all of that sort of stuff because we sweat in buckets on the hottest day of the year. We were talking about the transition between Big Steve and David Flitcroft, where ultimately in the end we finished in 8th position, 3 points shy of the playoff places. But there was a belief amongst the fan base that something could happen, because despite a sluggish start for Flitcroft, things were turning a corner. Chief, obviously in that summer, there was a few ins and outs. Matt Preston came in, Ryan Sweeney came in as well, so we bolstered the defensive line a little bit as well. And we also tinkered a little bit with the shape, didn't we? How did that sort of transition come about from your point of view, going from playing one way under Big Steve to all of a sudden a new style of football which Flitcroft was trying to implement?
Yeah, so we did actually play a back three a few times with Steve as well, where it was ended up more of as a 5 than a 3. Whereas I think under Flitcroft, it was very much a 3. And I think we kind of, in that this season that you're speaking of, we kind of, I don't want to say perfected it, but we were very comfortable in our shape. And we went into games feeling very comfortable defensively and going forward. So yeah, it was obviously a lot of work on the training grounds. Yeah, and we all enjoyed playing.
And that pre-season was an interesting one, to say the least. Obviously, we had a lot of sort of players coming in. We were trying to change the way we play, and sometimes you need to bond and things like that. And it takes sometimes incidences which should have no place in football to happen, but sometimes that does bring the team together. I'm not defending it whatsoever, by the way. And sometimes those fights, those flare-up moments bring people together as a squad. I'm talking specifically about that Sheffield Wednesday pre-season friendly, Chief. Talk us through it from your perspective. I know you've been open and honest with it in the past, so let's hear it from your point of view.
Yeah, so obviously I think it was 2-0 up at the time or something like that. I don't know if it was first or I think it was second half, wasn't it? I think there's a ball got played over the top, aimed for Forestieri. I've intercepted it and I've made a pass to, I think, Bish. And then I've heard him say something, it was in Spanish, but I heard the N-word in the sentence. So obviously, immediately, that triggered my hearing, and I turned to him and asked him to repeat it, which obviously he didn't, and then started running towards the dugout away from me. Obviously, I tried to let the ref know, tried to obviously carry on with the game, but as you can imagine, my focus wasn't quite there. And then I think maybe 5 or 10 minutes later, he decides to scissor Amari Sterling James, and that's when it all kicked off. And obviously, immediately I run in, I think push him over or dash him to the floor or something, and then 22 man, probably more actually. Then big melee happened, and then yeah, I think the next thing I remember is Flitcroft on the pitch dragging me off the pitch.
Yeah, there's an iconic image, isn't there, when you search the incident of him basically bear hugging you and dragging you off. And I think when I remember watching that game, because you was always so composed, you were dominant, but you were calm and composed, and we all sort of knew in the stands that something had to have happened to get that sort of reaction, because it didn't seem like a natural Chief reaction. It felt like it was, you could sense it was personal. You could sense there was more to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I don't even think I stayed out. I think I booted a bag of balls or something in the dugout, and then just went straight into the changing room. But I think it was towards the end of the game. I think it was like the 88th minute or something like that. So obviously there wasn't long left anyway. So I just come off the pitch, went straight in the tunnel, and then after the game, obviously kicked off again. Obviously I was in the change room at the time, and then obviously the boys are coming in down the tunnel, and then obviously it's kicked off again in the tunnel. So obviously I'm then running out to try and be the peacemaker and get all the boys back in the change room and whatever. And then the gaffer came up to me afterwards, and he was just like, "What do you want to do? Shall we speak to the police? Do this, do that?" And I just said, to be honest, I want to just speak to him and ask him what he said and if maybe, because obviously, like I said, it was in Spanish, so maybe I was hoping that it was just a similar word in Spanish that he said that meant something different. So I knew Sam Hutchinson, who was at Sheffield Wednesday at the time. Obviously, he was my England teammate back in the day. So I spoke to Hutch. I said, I'm going to come in and speak to him. And then obviously all our boys were still in the change room. I just walked out, went in the change room, went up to him, and I could kind of see the shock on people's faces that was in their dressing room as well. So obviously I just confronted him and I said, like, asked him to repeat it, and then he said something completely different in Spanish, and I was like, yeah, you definitely didn't say that. That's how I know it's 100% it's what I thought it was. And then I just walked out, and then again, obviously Gaffer came up to me and said, like, you need to make a statement, you need to go talk to the police and whatever, because I've mentioned it to the ref then has to pull it down as a police. He has to mention it to the police or whatever, and then it's down to me what I do after that in terms of putting in a statement and all the rest of it. And I just told the Gaffer, to be honest, I just want to clear my head, have some time to think, and then I'll decide tomorrow, kind of thing. And then I think I then went into one of my group chats and told my brother, because I think I had my brothers and a few friends in a group chat. So obviously I told them what had happened. And then I think my brother stupidly then took a screenshot of that and posted it online. So then the Gaffer's ringing off my phone and did you post this, da, da, da? And I was like, no. So then obviously I rang my younger brother because I thought it'd be more likely be him. So I rang him. He said, did you post anything? He was like, no. So I was like, okay, let me check my older brother. And he's like, oh, yeah. So I was like, you need to take it down, like, now. So he took it down, but obviously by then it's too late. Once it's out there, it's out there. So, yeah, then next day I came in a Gaffer and said, yeah, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to report it, basically. Because, to be fair, it was kind of, I didn't feel forced into it, but it was kind of, everyone was kind of pushing me towards it rather than me saying, yeah, I want to do it. So, but yeah, I went down that route, did the statement, and then that was it. I didn't really hear anything for months after that. And then I think it was probably April when I next heard something, and then I think I met the lawyer because the club said we were going to sort the lawyer and all of that, and said, just don't worry about that, just focus on your football, we'll deal with all of that. So it came to the date. I came to the court, met my barrister in one of the rooms. He went through a few bits, and then I went in the courtroom, and then he had his whole family, his lawyers, so plural lawyers, half of his team, his manager, coaches, half the coaching staff, everybody basically, and basically it was just me and my lawyer who didn't have a clue. And then it was like, so I'm sure you've all watched Suits and Harvey Specter and all of that. So she was basically the female Harvey Specter, and she was trying to tear me to shreds. And obviously, in questioning, brought up the group chat photo and saying all of this, and basically tried to use that against me. And then she kind of tried to say, like, basically tried to tell me how I should feel about being racially abused, which I was then able to kind of think quickly on my feet and kind of use that against her and say, like, you're a middle-aged white woman trying to tell me as a black man how I should feel about being racially abused. So that's kind of what kind of swayed it in my favor a little bit. But because it was kind of, obviously in the court of law, it has to be beyond reasonable doubt. So basically what the judge said to me was, he believes me, but there's not enough evidence that I can convict. So I have to kind of throw it out. So obviously that was done, and the FA couldn't do anything until the court date was done. So once, because they do it differently. They do it on probability rather than absolutes. So because it was in how they worded it was more probable that it happened than it wasn't, which is why we can fine him and ban him or do whatever. So I think he ended up getting a fine, and I think it was a 6-game ban.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like that. Yeah.
But for all of that to go, because obviously that's not just happening over like a 2-week period or whatever. It's not just a quick thing. That's dragging over you as well. And obviously, you've got the media sniffing around as well. And I know you've sort of referenced there that you were a bit unsure over whether or not to actually pursue it in the end. But in hindsight, I think actually going through it, I know it must have been a tough period, but what that's done is it sent a message to the footballing world that even these small incidents within a game, a little throwaway line here or a sentence there, is not okay. And I think what that's done, I think it's a really brave thing to stand up and do that. And I think, as you go through footballing history in years to come, that incident, as small as it was in terms of other instances with the footballing world, still has a strong foothold. And, it's one of those things which you should look back on and in the end sort of go, what you've done there is you've told a young black player that if they get racially abused, that it's not okay. And in going through that, you've helped somebody else, be it subconsciously or whatever. So, well done for going through it and sort of, sticking to your guns and fighting back with that lawyer, and not just sort of going, oh, okay, you're the lawyer. I'm not gonna say anything, and standing your ground and fighting. So
to be fair, it was more the conversation I had with my missus before. So after the game, she kind of just said to me like, "What if it was my son?" So that's kind of what kind of changed the mindset of how I felt about it. I was like, "Yeah, I can't let it slide." So that's what kind of changed my whole thinking on the situation, and yeah, I had to kind of, like I said, take a stand and speak on it.
A couple of things, Krystian. Firstly, had the player said to you, a quick time, "I'm ever so sorry, I shouldn't have said that, I was out of order, please, forgive me," or whatever, you'd have probably found it in yourself to put it down to football banter, I guess. But I don't know whether that's for you to decide. But he made no attempt. He just tried to obscure it by hiding behind language. But let me tell you, the N-word is exactly the same in Spanish as it is in English. So
thought as much.
There's no disguising what was said. And interestingly, Carlton Palmer, another black player, who I haven't got an awful lot of time for a number of reasons to do with Mansfield Town, but I remember speaking to him at the time, and he had got a lot of insight into Sheffield Wednesday as well. And he pronounced afterwards, he said, "Forestier is a fucking animal." that was his summing up of the bloke. So there you go.
Absolutely. Let's move back to on the pitch, because as horrible as that is to go through personally, like I was sort of alluding to at the start, sometimes you need a bit of an incident in pre-season to bring the players together. I'm thinking back to Paul Cox's days when the players went out on a night out and turned up to training the next morning with eye patches on and scuffs and scuffles and all of those things. But having that incident and having that kick up in the dressing room, Chief, was that a sort of a moment where all the lads sort of came together and rallied? No, we are here for each other. We've got each other's backs, and we're going to take that mentality and channel it into getting results on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. Because even at the time, I kind of, like, obviously the boys all backed me on the pitch and off the pitch. So even in the group chat, I kind of did a little bit of a, not a paragraph, but a message in the group to say like, thanks for having my back, kind of thing. And yeah, we just kind of kicked on from there. And I could feel the love almost like within the group, not just for me, but as, like I said, it was a family. It felt different from other clubs that I've been at. So that's why I was kind of like, no, we have to do something this season. So it was good.
We very nearly did do something that season. It was a great season. We had so many highs in terms of, good games and goals and all of that sort of thing. I seem to remember a little cup run at the start of the season where Bobby Eleshnik nearly scored at West Brom. Neil Bishop scored an absolute worldie as well in front of the Stags faithful. We had some other cracking games in there as well. And slowly but surely, we got into a position where we were on the cusp of promotion. However, the last few games of the season, it's fair to say that the wheels came off. Why did it go so wrong? And I'll give a story in a minute that we've had on Stag Stories before, but I want to get your perspective over why you think it didn't quite work out in the end for Mansfield Town that season.
So I think it started around the December time. We had obviously it was Christmas coming up. We had a Christmas do, and like I said, it's a family group. We're all close together, so I think the Christmas do is always supposed to bring the club together, the boys together, and make it more a team spirit. But this Christmas do kind of ended up with the opposite effect, where it kind of almost a family feud in terms, because obviously like we had a good kitty, we had everything booked, everything sorted, but then it seems as though money was going wrong places. So I don't believe anyone stole from anyone or anything like that. I think it's just one of them things that could just be a misunderstanding. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus because I don't know for certain what's what in terms of someone stole money, someone didn't steal money. But that definitely had a negative impact on the group, as well as the injury to Hayden White and Bobby Lesnick. They were two key players at the time. And obviously, both of them getting injured within, I think, a few weeks of each other, as well as all around the time of just after the Christmas do. Then that happens. It kind of just, it dented the whole atmosphere at the group, and it had a negative impact. And we struggled to kind of replicate the first half of the season in the second half from that point. And then, as you said, the last few games of the season, it just couldn't happen. I think we had 3 games to get a point, I think it was, or something like that. I think Oldham was the first one, was it, on TV? I think we lost 3-2. Then I think it was Gillingham at home or something like that. Gillingham?
I can't remember the home game. I remember the Oldham game because I think Danny Rose had a goal ruled out for offside in the 90th minute or something, and it was very close to not being. Frustrated a lot of people. And then obviously the MK Dons game. We'll come to the MK Dons game in just a minute, but the one thing I was going to sort of bring up aside than the injuries, because you mentioned those, and a big part in the injuries as well was the move to the training ground. And it's been a long contested thing on Mansfield Matters and within the terraces as well over the years. A lot of Stags fans feel that the club moved to the training ground too quickly, that it wasn't quite ready for purpose at that time. You know, you'd gone from training basically at the ground and on the top pitch there, and all right, it wasn't the best of surfaces, but you were sort of settled and happy. And then you moved up to the RH Academy, and you had the 3G, 4G pitch that was there, and then some of the grass pitches. But the grass pitches weren't really grass pitches; they were sort of farmers' fields that had been mowed and sort of looked after on a shoestring. How much do you think that impacted on the group as well? The facilities perhaps not being as good as they are now, because now it's an entirely different kettle of fish. It's one of the best in the league, maybe even the championship as well. But then it really wasn't from the outside anyway.
Yeah, obviously I haven't been up to the training ground recently, so I can't vouch for that. But obviously when we moved there, it was obviously still in the early phase, still developing certain things. I think we ended up training on the Astro quite a lot, which obviously a few boys struggled to train on Astro. And I think Bobby done his knee on the Astro as well. So I don't know if you can put 2 and 2 together, but that's obviously what was mentioned at the time, that it's because we trained on Astro and whatever. But yeah, it was just a difficult situation for obviously like the likes of Bobby and Hayden. But yeah, it was we just had to just get on with it really. Like, it's just a training.
Am I right in thinking that did play a little bit of an impact? 'Cause I seem to remember Flitcroft with about 8 games to go, almost throwing his toys out the pram and saying, we're not training there anymore for the rest of the season. It's not fit for purpose. We're going to go out and book different training facilities. And at one point, you were training in like Loughborough, you were training at other people's training grounds, and almost going back to the days where you didn't know where you're going to be training on the morning you were supposed to train. Did that happen? Did you end up travelling around and training at a few places? I'm sure it was that season.
Yeah, I think we did travel to a couple of places, but for the most part, I think we was at the training ground. Well, like I said, my memory's not great, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think ultimately, as long as you're training and still getting the work in and doing what you need to do, you should still be able to go and perform on the Saturday. So I don't want to make any excuses. I think we let ourselves down. We should have got over the line.
We've avoided it for an hour and 10 minutes. We finally have to talk about it. You've called it your lowest point in football. I think it's one of our lowest points as Stag supporters in recent years. MK Dons away. We needed a point to get promoted in that game. A draw would have been enough because our goal difference was far superior to theirs. We had plus 28. They had plus 22 at the end of the season. All we needed was a goal. And yet I think 3 minutes in, they got a corner in front of the Stags fans. Free header, bop 1-0, and they saw the game out.
Yeah, I remember it well. I think it was Neil Bishop's man as well, and obviously Bishop had probably one of his best seasons in a Stag shirt. So it's one of them bittersweet ones. Like it's one of our best players. You can't even really tear your hair. I'm like, Bish, but ultimately we couldn't score, and we had clean sheets after clean sheets that season. But the one where we needed one more clean sheet, couldn't get it over the line. So I think Matt Preston come off with concussion. I think at one point it was just me and Ben Turner playing centre back by ourselves. Everyone else was up the pitch, and they were obviously defending for their lives. So it was a heartbreaking day for everyone involved with the Stags. But
I think what makes it worse is the fact that obviously it was. You know, if you go into a team and you lose 1-0, but it's not that team that get promoted, it's another club elsewhere. It's not as hard to take. It's still difficult to swallow, but the fact that it was them that got promoted over us made it harder because obviously at full time you had all the celebrations. You've then got another 2 games at least to go and play. How as a captain do you lift the players at that point? Because you must be like, we've blown it.
So that was the most difficult part. Probably one of the most difficult periods in my career, to be honest, because I think the night before the game, we had been told, like, Vegas is booked. If you win, you can do everything's paid for. All of that's going to be sorted, flights, accommodation, everything. And then, obviously, to go from that extreme high to now we have to go and play Newport away on the Thursday where we should be in Vegas. So as a mindset, you're having to go,
Newport or Vegas, it's no comparison, is it?
Newport every time.
Every time Newport away. And that was
obviously this was the time where the Newport pitch was a beach.
Oh, it was horrendous, wasn't it?
The worst pitch in the league. Nobody liked going there. It was a horrible team to play against. And obviously we had beat them home and away in the season. But obviously playoffs is a whole different ball game. So yeah, to go from that one extreme to thinking you're going to be on a plane to Vegas to then, okay, we got Newport away, first game on a Thursday night. So that was kind of the mentality. Like, yeah, that was a struggle.
And then it just had to happen, didn't it? You know, back home in the second leg, going to extra time, and then an inevitable penalty shootout. At that point, Mansfield had a dreadful record of penalty shootouts. And it just had to be Tyler Walker, the man who had been absolutely red hot all season long, the man whose fortunes changed at the very last second.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So like I just spoke about Bish being unreal that season, but losing his man one set piece. And then Tyler Walker, who was immense that whole season. Then our penalty taker, key player, I think he won player of the season that year. Obviously, we both got in the team of the year that year as well, and he ended up missing the decisive penalty. But I guess it's harder as the penalty taker in a penalty shooter because they have more homework on you. They know where you go, whereas everyone else is just we don't really know much about you. So, but yeah, him and Bish were phenomenal that season. So I can't be mad at them. It's definitely not down to them that we didn't make it. So
nowadays,
am I right in thinking that you were featured in the PFA and the EFL Team of the Year
Yeah,
that
I
season.
did. That was so from a personal point of view, that was probably my highlight of my seasons. So out of all 19 seasons, that was the number one, even though it ended with a bit of a sour taste.
So frustrating, isn't it? That because you'll look back in years to come and you'll see that you'll have your grandkids on your knee and they'll be saying, "Granddad Chief, tell us all about what's this medal for? What's this thing for?" And you'll be going, "Well, Chief Junior, this is I was once a footballer and once got in the team," and then you'll have a little tear which starts running down the side of your face. "Granddad, why are you crying?" Don't ask. Don't say MK Dons to me. You just get triggered when you talk about MK Dons. But it was horrendous. But, on a personal note, it was absolutely brilliant. We had quite a few players getting the team of the year that year. I don't even think we had that many actually when we won promotion under Clough that got in the team of the year. So that, that says a lot about that. And then to get in the whole EFL team of the year as well. I mean, if I was your agent at that point, I'd have had 4 phones.
It was just you and Tyler Walker from the Stags, wasn't it?
Did CJ not get in?
Yeah, so
No,
for the
I think
EFL
so.
one, it was me, Mal, CJ,
Wow.
and Tyler.
Yeah.
And then for the PFA one, it was me and Tyler. And then that was so the EFL one, they did a League 2 one, which we all got in, and then they did the Championship League 1 and League 2 one, and I got in that one as well.
And whilst you were collecting your medals, David Flitcroft, your manager, was collecting, sadly, his P45. What was your reaction to that? Because, again, it's a hotly contested topic on Mansfield Matters and amongst the fan base. It was a rash sacking, we all felt. But what did you feel from the dressing room?
No, we all the players kind of wanted him to stay. Obviously, I basically begged the chairman to keep him. But obviously the chairman made a decision, and that was that.
One did, one didn't. Did you? I don't know if you know this, but they've been quite public about it since they had a huge argument, John and Carolyn, over who wanted what. I can never remember which way around it is, but one wanted to keep Flitcroft and go again. The other did not, and the axe was swung.
Well, I spoke to John, and he didn't wanted to keep him, so I'm guessing that's the way it fell. So ultimately, it was his decision. So yeah. In the long run, it made sense, and obviously, Stags are now in League 1. But
in the long run, it did. But I say at the time, it did not, because his successor was the academy manager, John Dempster, and something didn't feel right from the fans' point of view. What were your thoughts on that? Because you've gone from 2 experienced managers in Steve Evans and David Flitcroft who've brought you so close, 2 managers that have been there and done it, and from the one of the best one in the world. We love John Dempster as a hero, as a centre half and a player for us, especially in the conference days. And I know he's doing superbly well now at Coventry in their academy. But as a manager, we just felt something wasn't right. What were your thoughts when you heard? Because he was pointed straight away as well. It wasn't like a period of.
So obviously, I get on well with Dempsey anyway. He kind of let me know before he let everyone else know, and kind of said, like, they want me to take the job, and he was kind of unsure whether to take it. I think ultimately, he probably looked back and think probably came too soon. He's obviously a great coach. Obviously knows the game well. Obviously, he's a Stags legend as well. But yeah, I think it just ultimately came too soon.
Neil Bishop mentioned when he did his Stag story about the change in the atmosphere amongst the dressing room at the point. He felt that a lot of the players weren't showing him the respect that he deserved as manager, whereas they did under Flitcroft.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But I think that comes with the fact that you're getting promoted from the academy rather than coming in from another club with a CV behind you. Obviously, a lot of the players didn't know who he was. Obviously, me being at the Stags for however many years, I've obviously know Dempster very well. But
I think he might have even been playing when you first came. I think he might have towards the back end.
The season before I signed.
Yeah, you would have been his replacement. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he dropped into the academy. Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously, majority of the boys didn't know him personally, and kind of just saw him as a youth team coach. So when you come in as the youth team coach, it's kind of difficult to kind of from the jump earn their respect. So, and obviously we had a lot of big characters in the dressing room as well that's had good careers and big CVs behind them. So it was always going to be a tough ask. Obviously, he tried to lean on me for advice where he could, and I tried to help as much as I could, but ultimately it didn't work out.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one there as well, because also to bolster that sort of thing, I think that was the time of year as well where we were having problems with a few players off the pitch getting up to no good. One ended up getting caught on police interceptors. Another got involved in something after a little bit of a excessive drinking session at a local chicken outlet. And it just, things didn't quite seem right. And John Dempster ultimately got one win in his last 8 games. He left on the 14th of December. And again, it was the time where I was working at the club in football and community. And I always remember, I don't know if you remember the main stand building, we had our little storeroom just one door down from, where Sandy's is, where the bar is. And I was putting some equipment back in there, and I'd got up to the 3G pitch to get another bag of balls to bring them back down, and opened the door because I'd left it sort of half ajar. And I walked in, and Dempsey's sat on a bag of balls, and he's just got his head in his hands and just looked so down, and so like it felt like he had the weight on the world on his shoulders. And a week later he was gone. And I'm so glad to see that now that he has bounced back and has got a good solid job in the academy, and no doubt he will continue to do that. But yeah, hopefully he feels one day that he can come and share his stag story. We've asked him previously to come on, but he said he wasn't right in the headspace at that time, which of course we massively respect. And but then from John Dempster comes the worst manager in Mansfield Town's history. Should have never have got the job. All the wrong reasons. Graham Coughlan. Why do you want the job, Graham? Well, it's closer to my house.
Yeah.
I've got no. That man frustrates me. I'm sure he does you as well, because essentially he started the exit, didn't he?
Yeah, he was the one that ended the dream. So from the jump, I could tell that he wasn't a fan of me. Till this day, I don't have the reasons why. But for me, I think he kind of felt threatened by the influence I had at the club. Obviously, I was highly thought of amongst the players. I had a great relationship with the chairman, all the staff, and obviously all the fans as well. So I think he kind of saw it as I think he saw it as I had more power than him, and he didn't like that. But ultimately, I didn't try and ever undermine him or use that so-called power against him. I tried my best to help him, and I just wanted to win. Same as the rest of the boys. We just wanted to be successful. So for me, it was frustrating that he wouldn't even give me the opportunity. So
It was such a weird scenario, because we needed leaders. We needed people that knew the club. Because at that time we'd gone again from this high of being this club who could play good football and who fans were excited about, to flirting with relegation again. And we needed those strong leaders, and it just didn't seem like he wanted to sort of give you those opportunities. And fortunately, from a fan's point of view, COVID got in the way and sort of stopped him meddling a little bit and making it even worse. But on the flip side of that, what was very frustrating is that we never actually got the chance to say goodbye. And I'll go back to the very start of the show here when we were talking about numerous reasons for wanting to get you on. Obviously, you announced your retirement from professional football a few weeks ago, and we as a fan base never got to say goodbye to you. We never got to give you that moment. Obviously, Stephen Quinn, or Uncle Stephen as we call him, a player from the last couple of seasons or so, he got his goodbye when Nigel Clough subbed him off, and he got a rousing bit of applause. Managers have done that in the past for long-serving players, but with you and a few others, but mainly you, it was just nothing. So how did those conversations happen? Were you made to wait a long time, or did it come about quite early?
no, it kind of, because if you remember, by the time COVID had hit, I was back in the team and playing. So initially, obviously, I wasn't in the team. He didn't want to play me, and then I think he put me in for, I think it was maybe Plymouth away or something like that. and done well. I think we drew the game, but like in his whole reign there, he didn't win a single game when I wasn't playing, and even after I left, he still didn't win a game. So every game that he won, I was his captain, and even in front of the whole group before, obviously. This would have been what it was March, was it, when COVID hit, when season starts? So I think I got in the team probably around February time and was playing regularly. Obviously, tried to get rid of me in the January window, that didn't happen. And then February started playing, and we started picking up a few results here and there. And then he kind of apologized in front of the whole group and said, like, that's the kind of leader that we need. That's the kind of character I want in the dressing room. He's shown his qualities on and off the pitch. He's remained a true professional, and all of this kind of positive talk. So I thought, okay, we can continue and actually progress now. And then COVID hit, and I didn't hear a word from him the whole time. And
not even a message like, "How are you doing? Are you all right?" Not even a general just check-in. Wow.
Obviously, I try because. Obviously, as club captain, the boys are coming to me asking what's going on in terms of like, are we training? Are we doing this? What do we need to do? Like, what's happening with our wages? Are we still going to get paid? And I'm trying to get in contact with him, and I just getting air, just nothing. I think I got the odd text here or there, like just minimal contact the whole time through COVID. And then I think it was around June, he started doing the one-to-one meetings, and pretty much everybody else was doing it via Zoom and whatever, but with me wanting a face-to-face, I was like, okay, no problem. And obviously in the weeks leading up to that, obviously my agent is talking to the chairman and the gaffer trying to what's because I had an option on my contract for the following season, and the talk was that they were going to obviously extend my year. So I went into that meeting thinking, okay, they're going to extend my contracts. Obviously, I ended the season playing. Obviously, apologizing for the group and kind of put everything to bed. So when I got into the meeting, I was kind of blindsided because he was kind of like, so the first sentence, he was like, you're probably gonna hate me for this, but we're gonna go in a different direction, and I'm not gonna keep you. So obviously, I was a bit shocked. But again, like I just said, okay, that's your decision. I understand how football works. Obviously, I'm not your kettle of fish. I'll shake your hand and we leave it at that. I'll go find another club and wish you well. And then he almost looked surprised that I didn't hate him. And I was kind of like, it's football. Like, every manager's not gonna love you. Football's an opinion-based game, so that's your opinion. I disagree with your opinion, but all the best to you. Look after my club.
Look after my club indeed. And that he did not, because I think I speak for pretty much 99% of the fans here. There must be one fan out there that actually quite likes Graham Coughlan, and they're an idiot. Because footballing-wise, we're dreadful. Because when we did come back, he then failed to win a game. He won 3 games in his entire managerial career, and you'd have played in all 3, I imagine. The following season, we set up a new squad. You know, as you know the history, we ended up pretty much bottom of League 2, and then thank goodness we pulled the trigger and Nigel Clough came in. But a lot of fans were frustrated that they didn't get to say goodbye to you, and they didn't understand the reasons. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of supporters lost trust in him as a manager and in him as a custodian of the club by letting you and a few others go. And yeah, it's very, very frustrated indeed. We'll come back to some more.
That's definitely the most disappointing thing about me leaving. I didn't get to say goodbye properly and have a proper send off and say my goodbyes to even the staff around the club, and because obviously it was COVID, so no one saw anyone, so I didn't get to say bye to the teammates, nobody. So that's the only real downside of obviously when I was forced out the club.
I mean, what a journey it was, to be fair, coming in under Adam Murray, the highs and lows of Steve and Dave, the unsurety of John Dempster, and then it ending by being ghosted by Graham Coughlan. That should be the title of the autobiography, Ghosted by Coughlan or something like that. Maybe we'll call that the episode title. Anyway, it's time now for the part of the show which Clive absolutely hates. Although I've got a funny feeling today, Clive, you're going to actually quite like this one because it's a quiz that you don't have to take part in. He's delighted. You're not happy?
Delighted. I'm going to have a drink.
Well, have a drink indeed, but I've got a vital role for you to play in this, Clive, and that is keeper of the time. So I need you to be on your stopwatch, please. And I'll explain all in a second. Emily is going to be keeping score on the answers. Have you found them, Emily, by the way? Or do I need to? Got them. Yeah. So all you need to do is keep a tally of how many Krystian gets right and then tell me at the end.
All right,
So, Chief, this is what this is all about. This is called the It's All About You quiz. So everything we've just talked about in the last 90 minutes, we've got 10 questions all about your time at Mansfield Town Football Club. All you've got to do is get as many correct answers as you can in the quickest time possible. Now, a few things to remember here. That if you give an incorrect answer, it's plus 5 seconds to your total time. However, if you say pass or don't know, it's plus 10 seconds. So it's worth a go, even if you don't know. Yes, after 9 series, I'm still trying to make that my catchphrase. The way that timing is going to work is I'm going to ask you the questions and they will flash up on screen as well so you can see them. Clive will start the timer after I've asked the first question. You got that so far, Clive? And he will stop the timer when I say stop the clock at the end. Are we all good? Are we all understanding what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. Chief, are you ready to play the It's All About You quiz?
I guess so.
I guess so. That's good enough for me. Right, Clive, you ready on the stopwatch? Emily, you ready to keep a tally? Please don't say whether he got them right or wrong until after. Just keep a little tally. Let's play the It's All About You quiz. Question 1, against which team did you make your Stags debut? Start the clock.
Newport.
Question 2, in 2015-16, you picked up a red card against Bristol Rovers. Which of your teammates was also sent off?
Nicky Hunt.
Question 3, you scored your first Stags goal in a 4-3 win at Dagenham. Name one of the other Stags goal scorers.
Adi Youssef, got the equaliser.
Question 4, in your first 2 seasons, the Stags finished in which league position on both occasions?
12th.
Question 5, in the 2017-18 season, the Stags reached the 3rd round of the FA Cup, but who scored a hat-trick in round 2?
Danny Rose.
Question 6, who became a cult hero scoring in the vital 1-0 win over Chesterfield? Flitcroft's first game as Stags boss, first win as Stags boss.
Mal Bennett.
Question 7, in 2018-19, who was the unfortunate player to miss a spot kick in the shootout against Newport?
Tyler Walker.
Question 8, the Stags were hit with 2 killer injuries that season. Hayden White and who?
Bobby Alejnik.
Question 9, Randy Wands. Randy Wands is an anagram of which of your former teammates?
It's killing my time, this, isn't it? Randy Wands. Don't know.
Question 10, and finally, Danny Rose scored in your final appearance, a 2-1 win at Northampton. Who else scored?
Me?
Stop the clock. Oh, there we go. Right, so Clive has got the time. But first and foremost, Emily, how many correct answers?
6.
How many incorrect answers without saying pass or don't know?
4.
I think it's 3. I think
No,
you don't know
3.
one.
3, and then 1 way sort of passed.
Okay. Clive, what was the time? What was the time without penalties, please?
1 minute 57.
1 minute 57 plus another 25 seconds. I've got to do the maths now. That gives you total time of 2 minutes 22. That is actually not bad. Emily, shall we run through the answers for me? So let's go for the first one. Debut.
Carlisle United. You said Newport, I think.
Yeah. Question 2. I think you got that right. That was Nicky Hunt. First Stags goal in a 4-3 win. What was your answer? I think you said Adi Yusuf, was it? Did you say?
Yeah.
You could have had Mal Benning or Matt Green as well. Yeah.
In your first 2 seasons, Stags finished where? You said 12th, and you were correct. FA Cup hat-trick. I think you got this one wrong. Who did you say? I think you said
Danny Rose, I think, guessed.
Danny Rose. Clive, any guesses?
No.
Emily?
Jimmy Spencer.
Jimmy Spencer it was. Didn't score in any other game, but somehow in that game became a goal-scoring legend. Question 6. Who became a cult hero? Obviously Sir Mal Benning. And you said Sir as well, so you get
bonus
anything
point.
extra.
Get 5 seconds off.
Do you know what? Yeah, I'll knock 5 seconds off for that. Why not? My quiz, I can do what I want. In 2017-18, it was Tyler Walker who missed the penalty. Bobby Leshnick and Hayden White with the injuries. You got that right. Randy Wands, you struggled on this one.
Danny Rose. Danny Rose.
How have I not got that?
Danny Rose was indeed the correct answer. We even gave it the correct answer on the last question. The correct answer on question 10. Emily?
Willem Tomlinson.
It was Willem Tomlinson, yes. There you go. Not too bad, Chief. Not too bad in the end. I'll let you know on Instagram how you actually got on, and I'll put the graphic on screen so everyone at home can see it as well. I've just got to dig out my old notes and the old episodes to find out. But I think that is a very quick time. I have to say, 7 questions in, I'm thinking, is quick here. It was the anagram that got you at the end, wasn't it? I could see you just killing you.
Yeah.
Absolutely did.
I should have just guessed.
You should have.
Guessed.
You're not on your own, Chief. I hate anagrams.
Yeah.
Well,
And I hate the person that asked the anagram.
yeah. Clive notoriously does not like my quizzes, so there you go. But we've got one last little game for you, and this is a new feature on Mansfield Matters. No other player has played this on Stag Stories. This has been a feature dedicated to just the normal podcast. So you're in a very privileged club to play this, and you're going to find out now just how mental Mansfield Matters is, because it's even got its own jingle. I'm not sorry. Unofficially endorsed by Uncle Stephen. This is a special edition of Oz One Out. Now, Emily joined our podcast. When was it, Emily? Like about 3 months ago now? Something like that?
Yeah, permanently, yeah.
And Chief, when I was negotiating with her to come on the podcast, she said, yeah, I'll come on it, but I don't want to do any of your stupid quizzes, because Mansfield Matters is renowned for my daft quizzes, as you may have guessed.
I don't know the answers, that's why.
And I said, okay, what do you want to do instead then? She went, well, can I create my own quiz? In fact, I'm only going to come on if I get my own quiz and my own jingle. So here we are. The Oz One Out, it's a reference on a surname, is where Emily usually gives us 3 different starting lineups from Stags games in the past. And all we have to do is figure out who the odd one out is. But Emily, it's a bit different this week, isn't it? 'Cause it's just one game. You're going to explain.
Yeah. So I could do a starting lineup of players, and you have to guess who the odd one out is. And sometimes I do a good job of this, and sometimes they all know who it is. Now, I do have a backup. I've got a backup on the screen, but I've also got the Bristol Rovers game, which was intended to be the singular round of Oz One Out. But I'm now wondering whether I should do the other one, because we spoke about that game a few times. What do you think, Craig?
I think it was the answer to that question, Nicky Hunt, because if it was, that probably does
No,
ruin
it wasn't.
Doesn't it?
It wasn't Nicky Hunt.
Well,
no,
in which case, I
I
can't
thought I
remember.
better leave the people who were sent off. I better leave them in the lineup.
Well, I can't remember the lineup from that game. I'm sure Clive can't.
Okay.
Chief might. So let's play it and see what happens, shall we?
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. So it was October 17th, 2015. Mansfield played Bristol Rovers at home. It was Mansfield 1, Bristol Rovers 2, and the attendance was a pittance of 4,196, so 4,196. So I'll go ahead with my starting 11. So it was Jensen, Tafazoli, Pearce, Benning, Hunt, Chapman, Thomas, Hemmings, Green, Thompson Lamb and Westcar.
So all we've got to do is figure out who the odd one out is. So
Don't pull it out. Keep it to yourself.
yeah. So who's going first, Emily? Who you getting to guess first?
Clive first because he
Chapman.
might have one. Say again.
Chapman.
Okay. Great.
I'll go Reggie Lamb. I think he might have been the season after.
Okay. See.
I'm gonna go Westy.
Westcar.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we might have to do another round because you all got it wrong.
Who was it?
Ashley Hemmings.
Actually, I think I know. Is it Thomas?
No, it was Ashley Hemmings. He shouldn't have been in there. He didn't join Stags until 2016, where he made 16 appearances before leaving to go to Boston United. And that should have been, do you know who? Here we go. We'll do who it should have been and see whether one of you can get a point. So who should have been on the lineup instead of Ashley Hemmings?
Adi Youssef?
No. Clive?
Not a clue.
No. Any guesses?
So this is the first season.
Yeah.
This is
would have been
my
your
first.
first.
October 17th, 2015. So yeah, first season.
Christian Stepson's then.
This person is quite. You'll know who it, when I say it. You'll be like, oh.
Randomly, was it Chris Beardsley?
No.
Go on, put us out of our misery.
Did you say Matt Green in the squad?
Yes, I did. Yeah. 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 It was. Do you want me to tell you who it was?
Yeah, go on then.
Jamie Maguire.
Oh, of course, it was Jammer. I would
Yeah.
forget Jamie Maguire. So there you go, Chief. You just had a great experience of unofficially endorsed by Uncle Stephen. We're out of the two. Which quiz are you rating as number one and never want to play again? Which one are you rating?
I enjoyed both quizzes. Like I said, I'm very competitive. So
Straight down the middle. Love the answer. Well, we'll have to get you back on another time. You'll have to play more great features like What's in Craig's Bucket, What's in My Shoe, and Alan, Where's You Been? And the new feature for next year, Where's Clive Parkin? Which we came up with Nando's before Huddersfield away. That's another story for another day. You said that it was one big family at Mansfield. Who were your closest? Because you and Hayden White seemed to get on like a house on fire as well.
yeah, well, obviously I was close with majority of the boys, but obviously even to this day I still speak with Hayden. Obviously he's in America now. But yeah, me and Hayden were very close. Obviously Mal Benning, Matt Preston. Obviously we had a car school, so that whole car school was close. But yeah, that was probably the closest I was within the squad. Yeah.
And obviously post-football, post-Mansfield, you moved on to a few non-league clubs and called time on your playing career earlier on. But you've not called time on your playing career properly because Krystian Pearce has gone from centre-half in the Football League, being named in the EFL team of the season, to dropping down to non-league to podcasting, and now mixing it with the YouTubers in the Baller League. Tell us how all that came about. But for those that don't know, including me, what on earth is Baller League?
So Baller League is basically six-a-side football. Each team has their own YouTuber or celebrity kind of manager, as well as a coach who runs the team. And then you have a match day squad of 10 players. So obviously 6 will play. And then It's roll on, roll off subs. It's half an hour games, but the last 3 minutes of each half, there is a game changer, which is some crazy rules. So you could have off onside where anywhere on the pitch is onside. You have the offside line. So if you score behind the offside line, then you get 2 goals. You have free play, which is basically 3 attackers against 2 defenders and a keeper. There's just lots of different rules basically, and it's enjoyable. It makes the game more fun and enjoyable, because I think most people agree that football's got a bit stale recently and a bit robotic. So it's kind of tried to just bring that flair back and that enjoyment back to football. So I'm enjoying being part of it.
Some of the rules, Clive, sounds like I've made them up. I can tell you, I had no involvement in this.
Sounds just like you.
It sounds like my sort of thing. And who have you been playing for? Is it Depot Trio? Is it?
Depot Trio, yeah. So that's Micah Richards and Daniel Sturridge.
Okay.
So
And
do you play on an enclosed 6-a-side pitch then?
Yeah, so majority of the games were at the Copper Box in Stratford. There was a couple that we did in Liverpool, but we just finished the Final Four, which was at the O2. So yeah,
sounds a little bit like a new twist on Masters football, where it used to be all clubs, ex-players.
yeah. So it's a bit like
games.
that, but more aimed at the kids.
Which is
So-
obviously
Do you
us
get
old.
Are the pages there?
Say that again, sorry.
People pay to watch.
Yeah. So there's, I think, at the Copper Box, they sell out pretty much every week. So I think the Copper Box hold about 5,000-6,000. Obviously, the O2 holds, I'm not even sure how much, but that was sold out as well. Obviously, the Liverpool ones were sold out. So yeah, it's obviously it's live on YouTube and Sky Sports, so you can even watch it back on Sky's YouTube after the event and stuff. So you can still go back and watch all the games. So yeah, it's good going.
Let's say, for want of a better reason, YouTubers get bored with playing football and disappear off, and someone else takes over Ballers League, and it becomes a club baller league. You know where I'm going with this. You've had 5 seasons at Mansfield, lots of different managers, lots of different players. Who would make up your baller league side for Mansfield Town FC?
Okay. So obviously I'm going to include myself in there. So
Yeah.
I'm in there. I'm going to put Hayden White next to me. Actually, I need a keeper, so we'll go with Big Bry. Jacob Mellis.
Scrapper.
Also a very good footballer.
He was, to be fair.
So how many players have I got so far?
4, yeah, 2 more.
Tyler Walker. And I'm going to go George Grant.
They're actually starting 6, and you said it's a squad of 10. So who's on the subs bench? Who are you wheeling out for a cameo?
So, like I mentioned, there's game changes, so you need some specifics for certain game changes. So I'm going to bring in Matt Preston for when I need to, you know what Matt Preston does, so I don't need to elaborate on that. I'm going to bring in Amari Sterling James as well. Who else do I need? 2 more players, is it?
Yeah.
Neil Bishop.
Wise head, get stuck in, like it.
A very physical side, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
We got a few ball players in there.
You need your CJ Hamilton, don't you, to lighten the thing up a bit.
Yeah, a bit of pace. Yeah, we'll throw CJ in there, get some pace. I've already got Hayden on the one side with some pace. I got CJ on the other side. So yeah,
I think that's not a bad 10, to be fair. And obviously, you know, someone's got to manage it. Adam Murray, Steve Evans, Adam Murray, Steve Evans, David Flitcroft, John Dempster, and the Irish idiot. Who's your manager?
Well, definitely not the last one. We're gonna have to go between Flitcroft or Steve Evans. But I think for the whole theatrics and, like I said, the pantomime villain element is made for TV, so I'm going to go for Steve Evans.
You know what?
It's made for widescreen.
I would pay for that. I would pay to watch that, to be fair. Hey, I wish you all the best of it. I'm sure, I know the last season's just finished it of that. I'm sure it'll be back soon. You'll be pulling the boots on. But I did reference earlier that you've ventured into the world of podcasting as well. You've been on a few, and I believe you've got something in the pipework where you're potentially starting your own. Was it Talkie as Chief?
That is correct. That is what I'm looking towards getting started. It's still in the early stages at the moment, but hopefully sooner rather than later, I'll be able to launch that and get a few people on and talk
when we're talking early stages, where are we at with it? What's sort of preventing you from launching?
I need to find the right production team, because well, we can talk after this, but
we'll talk.
I need to find the right venue. I want the aesthetics to be right. I want everything to feel comfortable for the guests coming on. So, and I prefer to do face-to-face in person. So I think it kind of flows better that way. So yeah, I'm getting things slowly but surely coming together. So fingers crossed sooner rather than later.
Clive, Emily, that is almost all we've got time for. What a fantastic guest that we've had on the show tonight. Clive, many a stag story and an enjoyable listen as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the man's got enough time under his belt with the club to be valuable as a guest, and I think he's also a very articulate and measured person as well, and I think that's been very good.
Emily, there was quite a few things in there which sort of stood out. The one for me was, the fact that actually things in that near promotion season started to go wrong earlier than what we perhaps thought. It just goes to show, doesn't it? You don't always know what goes on behind the closed doors of the dressing room. Yeah,
and probably a lot of things go on behind the scenes that we don't know about. There's been a couple of surprises tonight, so yeah. But it's very nice for him to be so open and wanting to have a conversation with us. It's great.
I think What it also illustrates is that on the terraces, because we don't have that insight, we either guess at what's going on or we make up facts, and neither are accurate, are they? But when there's a void of information, that's what happens.
So Talkie's Chief coming to a podcast platform near you soon. If you don't follow on Instagram, go and do it. I know the Chief has already set up an Instagram account, but you can also follow the Chief on Instagram as well, and give that Baller League thing a watch if you want to reminisce over the old playing days as well. Maybe you might have converted 3 non-Baller League watchers into watchers in the future. That is sadly almost all we've got time for, though, this evening. Chief, it's been great having you on. You've got so many stag stories. I'm sure there'll be plenty more in the locker as well in the future too. But one thing we did reference was the fact that when you left, you didn't get to have a goodbye. You didn't have the chance to speak to the fans. Well, this, my friend, is that platform, because as ever, we leave the final word to our guest. Chief, this has been your stag story. What's your final word for the Stags fans?
I just want to say thank you to all the fans that's obviously supported me over the years. Obviously, like you said, I didn't get to say my goodbyes properly, but I'm also thinking about trying to arrange a farewell game that can kind of bring everybody together. Hopefully get a few of my Baller League friends to come through and bring a few celebrity friends to come down, ex-teammates and stuff, and hopefully make a big day of it and have a proper send-off where I can say bye to the fans and properly. And yeah, so I've enjoyed my 5 years, 4 and a bit years due to COVID, but yeah, I enjoyed my time there and loved every minute of it. So yeah, thank you to everyone.
Sadly, that's all we've got time for on another episode of Stag Stories on the Mansfield Matters podcast. My thanks, as always, to the Mansfield Matters podcast panel, and especially to the Chief, Krystian Pearce, for giving up his time to talk to us all about his Stags adventure. If you want to listen back to old episodes of Stag Stories, you can do so. Just search back through our Spotify back catalogue or head over to our YouTube channel to watch some great episodes. Some with Krystian's teammates, others with others from down the years. We've got plenty of Stag Stories to tell. We'll be back with yet more Mansfield Matters in the very near future. Make sure you follow us on all things social media to find out when. We are at MTFC Matters. There's only one thing left to say, and that is, this is the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Stag Stories and Mansfield Matters.